Hi everybody, it's Joni Young here. Welcome back to my channel for another painting tutorial in acrylics. Today, this is a little bit different as you can see. I'm so excited about this one. I know I say that in every video, but I really am. I love ornate frames, anything kind of antique looking, Victorian, or French shabby chic I love. And I was just at the dollar store yesterday, believe it or not, and they had the most gorgeous mirrors. I think it's more like a serving tray, but you can apply a little hanger on the back and put it on your wall. You can do whatever you want with it. Today, I'm going to show you how to paint a really pretty garden scene, a dreamy garden scene in some of my favorite colors on this mirror. So let's just jump in and get started. I'm going to go over the brushes I'm using and the colors I'm using today. Make sure that you just clean off the mirror before going into your paint. And if you want to tape off the edges to protect them from the paint, you can do that. I'm just going to be careful and go inside the frame. And if I happen to get any paint on the frame, I can easily just wipe it off. I'm not using acrylics specifically for glass today or mirrors. I'm just using regular acrylics. So I did some research beforehand before coming in and doing this and teaching you guys. You can use any acrylic paint you want. You can use oil paint. And you can also apply a sealer or a varnish over top of this after as well. So keep in mind, if you're just going to use regular acrylics that aren't specifically for glass, they can scratch off. They don't stick very well to the glass. If you don't touch it, it's fine, right? But if you happen to scratch, it will come off. So you might want to use special acrylics or enamels for glass painting. The brushes I'm using today, I've got my 5-piece set of brushes here. We still have a few left. They're not completely sold out yet. So depending on when you're watching this video, there might be a few left. I'll have a link below where you can purchase those. I've got a 1-inch mop brush, 14 filbert, a 20 flat, 3 round, and a 2 rigger brush. However, you can use any brushes that you want for this painting today. I've got titanium white, cadmium yellow, aqua green turquoise, phthalo blue, amethyst, and neon purple violet. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is take my flat brush. I got it a little bit wet, but I want to make sure I dry off any drips. I just want to have those bristles a little bit damp, and that'll help the paint come out of my brush and help me just blend that out a little bit better. So what I'm thinking of doing is creating a really pretty turquoise background with a little bit of yellow and white. So I'm just going to take those three colors, yellow, green, and white, and I'm just going to start going diagonally like this. I'm going to disappear in a minute. And I'm just going to take a little bit more as I need it. So just to show you how much I've got on my brush here. So I'm just going to carefully use the corner of my brush here to kind of just wiggle and go around the edges inside the design of the frame. Now what's nice about painting on glass with regular acrylics too is that if you don't like it, you can remove it quite easily. So you can take it off and start again if you wanted. Okay, so I'm going to just go all around these edges inside the frame. And because this is waterproof, right? It's a slippery, non-porous surface that we're painting on. I don't have to feel like I'm in such a rush. And we can easily go over. It kind of will make your acrylics act like oils. So I'm going to keep adding a little bit more white here. And like I said, I've got my hair dryer close by here if I need to speed up the drying process. Now I might just come inside where I got a little bit of paint on the inside of the frame later on with either a Q-tip or a small brush and just carefully take that off, but I'm not overly concerned about it. Okay, so I'm going to just keep going here. I've got a few garden fantasy paintings around my studio that I'm just sort of glancing at. If you see me kind of looking around, I don't even know if you can see me anymore. just for some ideas and inspiration, but I'm just spontaneously kind of painting this. It's my favorite way to paint. I think it keeps your creativity fresh and keeps you on your toes, so you're thinking more. And when you have to think more, it's like problem solving, right? It's really good for your brain. It's good for creative flow and discovering new ways to paint, new ideas. I like to go kind of back and forth, but I have to say this is my favorite. Okay, very pretty color. And I'm not like mixing it up to make one solid color, so you can see how there's different tones of turquoise and a little bit of yellowy lime greens in there with a little bit of the white. So what I want to do now is be a little bit more generous with the white. I'm not washing my brush out. I'm just going to take that white and right in the corner here, I'm going to start to pull. I might dry this off if it's not going to let me get the bright sun rays like I want. Well, maybe it's working. Okay, so I'm just lightly pulling to create some nice light, bright light there. What I'm going to do now is take a little bit of yellow, a little bit more yellow with the white. I want to get it, after I mix it up, get it on the end of my brush like this. And I'm just going to start right about here. So not halfway, not exactly in the middle, and you'll find your middle right here. Or you can measure if you want. I just like to eyeball it. And I'm just going to go right below and just slide my brush side to side, making either it can be steps or a little path. It's up to you. Now I'm going to rinse my brush out. And I'm just going to lightly get inside here and kind of look around and make sure I've got all these little edges. If you don't, it's not a huge deal. If you have, it'll just make it look a little sparkly if you have any little bits of the mirror showing. So what I'm going to do now, everyone, is just dry this off. And then I'm going to come in with the next layers, and we're really going to start to build up the flowers and the mood of this painting and make it really, really inviting. And now we're going to come in and start adding some more color. I'm going to be using my mop brush here. This is a 1-inch. You could definitely use something a little smaller than this if you want. But for this specific technique, I apply paint to a dry brush, and it's just to keep it nice and pouncy and fluffy like this. So we're going to start coming in with our amethyst, and I'm just going to take a little bit like this. You don't want to overload your brush. Light little tap and a little bit of blue. Now Phthalo Blue, depending on what brand you're using, this is Holbein. And I want to thank Holbein very much for supplying me with all my paints. It really, really helps the making of all my videos. They're my favorite paints to use. I've been using them for a long, long time, so I love them. So you just want to use a little bit of the Phthalo Blue because it is very, very saturated and a strong color, so you don't need a lot of it. And you're just going to load your brush up a little bit like this, mixture of the amethyst and the blue. And what we're going to do is start tapping from the top, a little higher, a little lower in some places. And we're just going to create a little bit of texture like this. So I'm getting a little bit of paint on the frame. And this is why if you want to tape your frame off at first, you're welcome to. I'm just going to go in after and carefully wipe it off, but it comes off really easy because Of course, it's waterproof, so you can easily take that off. Now, what I love right off the bat, I don't know if the camera's picking this up, but it looks a little shiny and almost metallic-y, where a little bit of the glass and the mirror is kind of showing through. I just love that. It kind of reminds me of gold foil or any colored foil. And so what I'm going to do now is take a little bit of white, and I'm just going to mix that up. And to mix it up, I'm just going around in little circles like this with my brush. And you can see the color, it looks like a soft lilac. It's really pretty. So what we want to do is just start tapping over. Aren't these colors really pretty together, you guys? I love pastel colors together. I want a little hint of that glass and mirror to show through, so I don't want to add too much in there. But I'm going to start coming down around the sides here and bring it down a little bit lower. I'm going to add a little bit more white. Now, if your brush starts to lose its shape a little bit, that's okay, as long as you still have some texture when what we're doing is just adding a little stipple, right? But I love a little bit of that turquoise here and there poking through and kind of around the edges. So I don't want to cover all of that up. I think the play on colors is really pretty. It's kind of reminded me of like Monet's water gardens, the colors, the color palette. We could easily start painting some water lilies in this, but that's not what I'm going to do today. Leave a comment below if you'd like to see that for a future tutorial. I'd love to do that with you guys. But let's keep moving on here. I want to pick up a little bit more of my blue and that amethyst. And I think I'm just going to start coming in along the side here and making sort of larger bushes. Maybe we've got some hydrangea bushes here. I was just out in my garden, and you guys, oh my goodness, I thought that I wasn't going to get any hydrangeas this year because they were looking so sad, and I was like prepared to just, you know, not have any hydrangeas this year. I've had years where I've had really good hydrangea years, and I thought this might not be the one. But I just came from my garden, and I have 3 different hydrangea bushes, all different colors. Okay, I'm just going to take a little bit of white and mix that up in there, a little bit more blue. I'm going to start adding it down here. Okay, and I'm going to add the blue here. So now my brush is starting to get a little chunky looking. This is beneficial for painting more of like flowers on bushes. I'll add a little bit in here as well. Love, love, love this color palette. It makes me so happy. Okay, what I'm going to do now is take my little round brush. I've got a number 3 round brush here. I'm going to take a little bit of white and a little bit of my Luminous Violet or Neon Violet. If you don't have these colors and you're not sure what to use, just leave a comment or question below. You can use magenta or quinacridone violet if you don't have this luminous violet that I'm using. So what I'm going to do is just start adding a few little dabs and kind of make some pretty little stalk flowers here. I always like to add, well, most of the time I like to add some stalk flowers. I love Old English Victorian looking gardens. They're my favorite, and they have a lot of hollyhocks and delphiniums, foxgloves. We get foxgloves here on Vancouver Island. And some years they grow so tall. I had some that were well over 6 feet tall. I don't know what was going on that year. Maybe I had some really good soil. I think that was like the first or second year we moved here. and maybe the soil was a bit better. I'm just adding a little bit more white to make some of this a little bit brighter on the flowers and give them some highlights. Now I want to take a little bit of that amethyst blue and just get like that dark purpley color. I'm going to add a little bit of water to my brush just to thin the paint out. You can see it's starting to be a little bit more transparent and loose. And I just want to come in here and start adding some lines for some steps. So the shadows on the steps, this will make your steps look 3D. You can use your flat brush if you want, or you can use a little brush like this. And then as the stairs get further away, I'm going to add some white. When things are farther away, they're going to be paler in color. And then I'll just bring a little bit of that over top here. And notice I'm making the stairs a little bit longer down here and thicker. So that gives us more of a in the foreground feel, closer to us. Rinsing my brush out. I want to try to let you guys know when I'm washing my brushes out, so you're reminded that you should also. The quickest way to ruin a brush is by forgetting to wash it out, and that paint sits in there. It's really not good. So I'm just going to go back over to my turquoise and my yellow and my white. Let's take a little bit more white in there. And I'm going to come in between these stairs. And look how I just picked up a little bit of that violet, and actually it looks really pretty. I like it when you have those little happy accidents. Just going to take the corner of my brush here and start adding, oh, let's see, maybe a little bit of that violet. Just adding a little bit more here. Okay. The next brush I'm going to be using for some vines and some branches is my 2 Rigger liner brush. I'm going to get it wet, and I'm going to take some yellow and some amethyst, and we're just going to make a brown, a shade of brown here with these 2 colors. You can just use any brown or dark color that you want. Now remember, or maybe you don't know, if you're just new to acrylic painting, it dries darker. So what I'm adding here is going to be a little bit darker than this. So you just want to mix it up, and you want to have a decent amount on the end of your brush. And what I'm going to do is just start coming in here and wiggling around for the vines and some branches on this weeping wisteria. I need a little bit of water in my brush. I'm going to go over part of these branches in a moment with another layer of highlights. But I want to have little bits and hints of this vine showing. Just a little bit down here. A little bit of earthiness, a little bit of browns here and there is really nice. A nice balance in your paintings. Okay, so I'm going to take my mop brush and I'm going to add a little bit of white and purple. Basically the same base colors we used for the wisteria, just with a little bit more white this time. And I'm just going to tap kind of side to side Tap, tap, tap. A little bit here and there, some shorter ones. If you feel like you want it to be a little bit more controlled and kind of still get that nice soft poofy stipple texture, but you want it to be a little bit narrower, I just take the brush like this and gently pinch it to make it narrow, more like an oval mop, and you can see the difference. You'll get some narrower, a little bit more wisteria-like looking. And this is just, you know, impressionistic. We're not out for detailing every single flower and petal to look super realistic. Add a little bit here and there. And I'm going to take a little bit more of the blue. Add a little punch of deeper colors down here. Now, if you're wondering, what other colors can I use that will look good in a gold frame like this? Anything looks good with gold. You can't go wrong. Gold and silver, like any color, will work. So don't worry too much about that. Just have fun. Choose colors that speak to you. I'm going to take my purple and blue again with my 20 flat, and I want to bring this stair over here, a few of these stairs here this way. So I'll just take out a little bit of those flower bushes there. Back over to a little bit of violet in there, just so it's not as dark. As it gets further up the stairs, I'm just going to add a little bit more of the purple in there. Have a gradual transition. I like painting on this glass, this mirror. It's nice and smooth. So if you guys are wondering about how it feels texture-wise to paint on, it's quite nice. I find you don't have to use as much paint either because it's not porous, right? I'm going to use my little round brush now, and I'm going to take a little bit of white here, and I'm just going to add a few little taps and dabs. Just clump together flower petals. So when I'm doing this, I'm turning my brush. I pick up my brush and turn it the direction of it. I'm not really out to paint like each separate singular flower. I'm just wanting to paint a bunch of petals. So you're kind of wondering, there's a little bit of mystery in there. Like you don't really know what kind of flowers they are, but you know they're flowers. So they could be daisies, lilacs, hydrangeas, whatever you want them to be. I'm going to need to add a little bit more white to my palette here. Let's take a little bit of, I go through a lot of white, so I have these big tubs. Okay, with my round brush, a little bit of violet. I'm just going to mix white and violet up, and I'm going to add little dabs. Or just some impressionistic little flower petals. Now I'm keeping in mind that it's going to dry a little bit darker, so I am being a little bit more generous with my white that I'm adding now. So we get this really delicate, powdery looking pinky violet color here. Once it dries, it's gonna look so pretty. If you guys have any requests or ideas, that you'd like to see, please leave it in the comments below. I can't guarantee I can paint everything you guys request, but I definitely get a lot of ideas and challenge myself quite often with your suggestions and ideas. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit of this soft violety pink over the stairs. I'm going to take some yellow with a little bit of that violet. Just a hint of the violet. And add all these little dabs here. For some more little flowers. They kind of just linger on up the path as the path just kind of disappears off into the distance. You can add a few little bits here and there on, because the sun rays are coming in this direction. Might have a few, could mix up a little bit of that blue with the yellow. You'll get a different type of green compared to, see, it's more of like a ash green. And then you could mix up the turquoise, the phthalo, and the yellow. And get another shade of green. Lots of different colors you can make with what we've got here on our palette. Okay. Clean my brush off, and I'm going to take full strength gorgeous violet here, and I'm going to come in along the side, push, tap, and dab. And look what happens when I come in over top of the blue here. So these luminous paints make beautiful glazes. So they'll create a different color when they're placed over, because they are transparent. You'll get a different color over top of another color. I'm going to just take some white and mix up what's left of my brush, and then make some lighter shades, add more and more white till I get the desired, just really tinting my white. So I want to add it right here to make this lavender section kind of stand out a little bit more. And just add a little something there, make that stand out. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of blue. Really soften that. I'm twisting my brush like this and pulling to get the paint out that's kind of right at the ferrule. That'll ruin your brush if you have all that paint right there, so you want to be careful. I'm going to add some more flower petals in here, dots and dabs. Don't overthink it, that's all we're doing. It's when we simplify things like that into shapes or dots and dabs, taps and pulls, that we become more comfortable painting. You forget that you're painting a house or flowers, and before you know it, you've completed a painting, and it's a lot more enjoyable to experience painting that way too, when you're not, you know, stressing yourself out about painting flowers or whatever it is that you're working on. I'm going to add a little bit of white swirled in with that violet now, just to break the solidness up that we've got going on there. I don't want to lose that beautiful jewel tone that we have. I just want to enhance it a little bit with some lighter areas, so it doesn't just look like one big solid blob. So the easiest way, in fact, I was asked that on my channel the other day by somebody saying they were working on a rose. Sorry, I can't remember what your name was. You were saying that you were working on one of my rose tutorials, the simplest rose, where we go around in like a circle and then you come in with lines for petals. And you said you ended up with, it started out really well, but then you ended up with a solid blob and no light or dark. So the quickest way to fix a flat, just solid blob, if it's just all one color, come in with darker shades and lighter shades in between those. And that is just the quickest way to fix it. Instantly, it'll break up that solidness. So I'm just gonna finish up this painting now. I like all these colors together. I'm just coming in with a little bit of this violet. I picked up, do you guys just see that? I picked up a little bit of that accidentally and kind of just, it looks so pretty. It just kind of smeared in. I'm going to take a little bit of green. We're not out for perfection. We just want to have kind of beautiful chaos happening with colors, taps and dabs, and this ornate frame just really, really sets it off. I like the bit of the soft yellow too. The soft yellow in here, this kind of buttercup yellow. It looks nice. I think it complements with the gold. Okay, so here we have the finished piece. I absolutely love how this turned out, and this is why I love painting so much. It brings me so much joy, and I love to share that with you guys. Let me just take this out of the easel actually so I can hold it and show you. I just think this is so pretty, and this would make such wonderful gifts for Christmas too. I'm going to do some winter scenes, Christmas scenes, some autumn and Halloween scenes as well. Leave a comment below with your request, maybe some seascapes. I'm not sure, but the possibilities are endless. Have fun painting yours. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more and check out many more exclusive tutorials on Patreon. And I also want to mention that I have created a second YouTube channel, strictly watercolor painting and gouache. It's called Joni's World of Watercolor. I'm inviting you all to join. There's many videos on there. It's a new channel, so it's steadily growing. There's lots there to learn. You'd be surprised at how fun and relaxing it is. Thanks everyone. I'll see you soon in another video. Bye.